Welcome to Know Your Money, where we will explore our relationship with money and how the psychology of it impacts our financial decisions, as everyone thinks about money differently. In our podcast, we'll be presenting a variety of financial topics in an easy-to-understand way, which we hope will assist you with managing your money. Welcome to Know Your Money, everybody. Hello, Warren. How are you?
I'm well, and you, Bronwyn?
I'm very well, thank you.
Again, no Craig.
Again, no Craig. Just living
Like
the best
the longest
life.
holiday ever.
Living his best life.
Yeah.
Well, we hope that you send us lots of pictures, okay, Craig?
Maybe, yeah. All the terrible ones, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so last week we spoke about money mindsets.
Yes.
And hopefully that triggered something for you to think of and shed some lights on what is your money mindset kind of thing. Where are you?
Yes, yeah.
And if you're not happy with that, we think the most important thing is to shift that perspective. And how do you shift a perspective?
Yes.
As we were saying earlier, I think we should do an episode where we discuss you, because you have basically said a lot of how your mind shift has changed in different things.
Yeah, through being involved in this series of podcasts and learning more about, financial planning and the future, and how we've talked about how I think about money, and it's definitely shifted.
And I also think a mind shift happens when you feel confident, or when you feel that you understand something, or you're aware of it, and you know, okay, well, I think like that. Do I want to carry on thinking like that? Or do I want to change it? You just need to know that question first.
Yeah.
The hardest part is, I do want to change it. Okay, well, how the heck do I do that?
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people, especially my wife, she does not like change. At all. As I embrace change, I love the idea that we are constantly growing, we're constantly learning, or we should be, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too.
But a lot of people don't want to do that.
And also what I find quite difficult is people do want to change and they try, but then they just go back to...
Yeah. I mean, I heard it on a podcast the other day, and it kind of made me laugh, where the guy said, change is really hard for people. He said so many people want to lose weight. Or just eat less.
Yeah.
But it's really hard to do if you want to lose weight.
Yeah, and that's where I think that James Clear book will be a really good Atomic Habits. I think we must do a podcast on some of the things in there, because there's so much more to it than just looking at that. But it also depends on where you are in the journey. Something that we might say to you today would help you change something, but for other people it may not. And you've just got to find what works for you and how to get there. Some people will see that diet and lose so much money, lose so much weight.
Yeah, maybe money, yeah.
Yeah. The next person it won't happen to, and it's just...
Yeah, it's where you are in your life, and it's your mental resilience, all the stuff that comes with it. And I think, based on the last episode and many you've done before with us, is the idea of knowing yourself better. And the only way to do that is reflecting and to learn about yourself. And whether it's sitting down with a pen and paper, or whether it's just contemplative thought, or whether it's future planning, you learn a lot about yourself.
Absolutely.
By just be willing to.
Yeah. And also seeing people, going on something that jumps out of you, like a self-development program, or going
or
to see someone.
Books.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anything changes your perspective. I mean, me sitting here today, would never in a million years, if you asked me when I was 18, would I be a financial planner? There was not.
Let alone sitting and doing a podcast.
Exactly.
Yeah. Without Craig, by the way.
Exactly. And it's just that. And it's just figuring yourself out, and you can do anything. Whoever is listening can record their own podcast. If you want it, go for it and find a way, and you will.
And not being cheesy, you can do anything, and you especially can change your habits.
Yes.
Especially can do that.
And also your mindset. So, what we were going to say here is what you need to do is change those things. So when you're listening, for example, to the podcast, you say, I should start a podcast.
Yeah.
That's still future tense. That's not now.
Yeah.
If future tense is too hard, change the word just to could. Or I am starting a podcast. Or I am starting a better relationship with money, and understanding that money is a relationship and it is an energy.
Yes.
So I should be better with my money is never ever going to make you better.
You sound like my wife, yeah.
I could be better is getting you closer.
It's a step forward, right? Yeah.
Exactly. And sometimes
I will be better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think you need to take those steps instead of jumping to I am better with money.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Because if you go straight to I'm better with money, you are not going to be, and then you're going to be cross with yourself.
And you know what sort of I'm thinking of right now is, so I do jiu-jitsu, and a big part of what you learn there is how to move from a bad position to a slightly better one until you're into a good position, right? So it's like a ladder.
Yes.
And you could look at this the same way. Instead of saying, well, I know I'm terrible with money, I'm the best with money now. It doesn't work that way.
Never.
It's a ladder. It's a step system. It's a,
Yeah.
And I think for me personally, if we don't even talk about money for a second, so like a mindset change I had was anxiety. I used to be a very anxious person. And slowly but surely, I pushed my way up that ladder to a point where I now am not an anxious person.
Yeah.
But it wasn't straight from I'm anxious to I'm not anxious.
And if you had gone and said, I'm anxious, and now you must say, okay, I'm not anxious, that will make you more anxious.
It'll never work.
But I also think what each rung is that you're talking about a ladder, I always use a combination lock. You have your own combination lock. You have your own thing that you need to do. So first of all, you clearly figured out what made you anxious.
Yes.
Okay. And then you saw that, okay, well, how can that change? Or I shouldn't get anxious about that was where you started.
Why am I getting anxious about that was my first thought. And then my next one was, what am I achieving by being anxious about this? Okay. So, and those two processes took months.
Absolutely.
Each.
And that was should. And then your next step, I'm assuming, would be like, what could I do differently?
Exactly.
So from should, you went to could.
100%. And again, it took a long time, but the fact that I put the work in, it's much like the compound interest thing. If you keep working at it, the results are astounding. And that's the same with the way you think about money.
Yeah.
And the way you think about yourself with money.
Absolutely.
And the way you actually use money.
Yeah.
You know? So what would you say? So we go should, could.
Okay.
Yeah.
So should is a future tense.
Yeah.
Could is also still a future tense.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it makes it's like closer to you then. Yeah.
Yes. So often there's a fantastic lady, I actually want to bring her in here. Her name's Lisa. She does NLP therapy, which is neuro-linguistic
something.
Programming. She'll kill me.
Yeah.
And what she basically says is we create a pathway.
Yeah.
And if you think about a field, if you walk on that same pathway all the time, the grass will be flat where you walk.
Yeah, you create a footpath, yeah.
If you try walk somewhere else, it's not going to be very easy to walk there because the grass isn't flat.
Yeah.
But if you keep pushing at it and you do walk there, that pathway of grass will go flat, and the one you used to walk on, the grass will grow there again.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
100%, yeah.
And what she also talks about so much is often people focus on what they don't want.
Yeah.
Instead of so this is what you don't want.
Yeah.
Well, what do you want?
Yeah.
So instead of looking at, I don't want to be poor, or I don't want to do that. What do you want?
Yeah.
Look on the other side and see what you want, which is then want is still a future thing.
Yes.
You need to go from there to there first. But if you're comfortable enough, you need to then get into the present tense.
Yes.
And that's where affirmations, I think, are very important. But people jump to affirmations without going through the rungs on the ladder.
Yes, yeah.
So basically, to shift your mindset is figure it out.
Yeah.
What can you do differently?
Yeah.
And then whatever that is that you can do differently, say that you're going to do that.
Yeah.
So I will do that differently. Make that a present tense thing. That could.
Yeah.
So when we look at your anxiety thing, it's I shouldn't get anxious if someone leaves a cup on the table.
Yeah.
Just as an example.
Yeah.
Okay, what could you do about that?
Yeah.
You could ask the person not to do it. You could just clear the cup away. Okay, so now you've laid out what you can do.
Yeah.
Now implement one of them.
Yes. Yeah.
Pick one and do that. So when it comes to finances, I should save more.
Yeah.
Okay, what can you do to save more? You could start a 500 Rand debit order. You could do this. You could do that.
You could cut back on the trips to Seattle Coffee. You could, plenty of things.
Exactly. Write a list of coulds and do one.
And be realistic and say, I could do all these things, but I know I'm not going to do those 3 out of the 10.
Yes.
So the other ones, I will do them.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, so will is also still a future.
Oh, okay.
So I am doing them.
Oh, I am doing them. Okay.
Okay.
So. Yeah, no, I see what you're saying, yeah.
If you do something future, it always stays in the future. You'll always get to it,
you
not
almost
do it.
create the opportunity to procrastinate by the language you use with yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, you do, don't you? If you say, I will do it, you still allow yourself an out because, I didn't say I'd do it now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's just those little things, just the way that you use language. And I'm really not good with language,
You're
but
not
I
a
do.
wordsmith.
Yes, hence the podcast, not the blog.
Yeah, neither am I.
But it's just those small things of changing your language with yourself and look at what it is, figure it out, and then make that in the present tense. So when there is a cup, I take it away. Not when there is a cup, I will take it away.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And even if that debit order, when we're talking back to finances, is 50 Rand, do it. And if you spend that 50 Rand next month, that's also okay, but you did it. You did what you committed to.
So I read a book a while back, and I can't remember what it was called. So I'll find out and we'll talk about it another time. But he basically said in order to make himself financially stable and to grow his wealth, he decided that he would implement this way of thinking you're talking about, but he would journal it.
Okay.
And he went a bit far. I mean, he was writing down every single thing he bought during a day and every thought he had about money during the day. But I think even if, again, you just take some reflection time and journal how the day went for you and look back and go, you know what, I did go to Seattle and I said I wasn't going to. So now I must be aware of that.
Yeah.
So that tomorrow I don't go because presently I'm not going to Seattle tomorrow.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
So maybe that's another thing people could do as well.
Yeah, for sure. And just those small wins are a win. It's just another one of those rungs on the ladder for you to get to. So you can't go from I don't save to I save half my salary in one go. You have to start at each rung.
And it's really important as well, and it was for me with the anxiety, is every time I noticed that I'd squashed a potentially anxious moment, I would, not physically, but verbally, I would pat myself on the back and say, well done,
Celebrate
man.
it.
Well done. That would have been something that caused your anxiety and potentially ruined your day.
Yeah.
And you didn't let it happen this time. And those wins add up to big wins.
And now those wins are easier. The small wins are so easy to achieve. Do you know what I mean? And like you've even said, there's no ways that you can go from an anxious person to not an anxious person.
Yeah, 100%.
That is a journey and it's taken you a while and a number of steps. And that's all you need to keep doing.
And all those little wins added up.
Yeah.
100%.
So what we want for you is to win with your money, everybody. And we hope that you can start your mind shift.
Yeah, very important. It's the only way things will change.
Absolutely. Thanks, Warren.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this podcast, would like to subscribe, please visit our website, www.growthfp.co.za. The information we have provided in this podcast is our personal opinion. For more detailed information, please discuss your financial situation with a financial planner.